Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is your host Pablo of the Fancy Carnivore. Today I'm going to be doing a reaction video to a very intelligent YouTuber by the name of Alex Hormuz. And this video is going to be displaying the fact that just because you have a lot of money or because you're business savvy or you just you excel in some sort of field doesn't mean that you know much about health. And Alex Hormuz is very aspiring. I look up to him as far as business goes, but I think the problem is that he has a really big following of around 2 million people, and the problem is that Alex Hormuz makes videos when it talks 99% of his videos are about business, but there are a few videos recently that he's gone over his diet and workout. A little backstory about Alex Hormuz, if you don't know who he is: he opened up a few gyms, I think it was 6 before the age of 30. He dropped out of he left a really high paying job. I guess he was maybe making 6 figures at the time, and he decided to start from scratch and open up his own business because he was a very intelligent student in school. He excelled in school, and so he just thought that, you know, he could do something bigger and better, and he was honestly miserable at the time. This is what he talks about. He talks about how he didn't have suicidal ideation, but if he didn't wake up the next day, he would be fine. So these are his words, not mine. He has a really big following on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, I believe. Actually, I'm not even sure he's on TikTok, but he has a really big following on YouTube with over 2 million followers. And lately, he's been getting into diet. And one thing that Alex Hormuz, you'll notice, is that he's in really, really good physical shape. And a lot of it has to do with, of course, his dedication to training. But there were videos that I watched of his when he talks about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. So he is taking testosterone. I don't know to what extent, and I don't know if he's taking anything else, but as you could tell, he's in really, really good physique. He's very muscular and very lean. I think lately he's been making cookbook videos and recipe videos that I think should probably stay off the web. I mean, this is just my opinion. Obviously, he can post whatever he wants, but I think because he's promoting a lot of ingredients that aren't as healthy, I think like he needs to realize like he's got a really big following and people are going to follow in his footsteps. And because they don't have like the amount of money that he does and the amount of time that he does to like dedicate at the gym, because he is an entrepreneur and he's a very successful one. So he has a lot of time, freed up time that he doesn't have to go to like a 9 to 5 and whatever. I'm not saying that as an excuse. I'm just saying that because he's on like, you know, because he's taking also testosterone, as I mentioned, I don't know to what extent. I think he should really be careful to how much he promotes the type of food that he's eating. But anyway, let's get into the video and we'll do a reaction to it.
Great for gains. So if you're somebody who struggles to eat enough like I do, or if you're somebody who eats too much, also works for you. I'm gonna show you how to make a 100-gram protein bomb for zero prep in just a minute, using stuff that you have at home that actually tastes delicious. So number one, I use this Faye yogurt. There's plenty of other brands, it doesn't really matter. I use the 0%. This puppy has 94 grams of protein in it and just under 500 calories for this whole thing. And if you have this whole thing, it is filling. And for people who struggle with dairy, yogurt tends to do a little bit better than somebody who just drinks pure milk because it's already turned. So it already has some of those metabolites and all that fancy stuff that I know nothing about. That being said, I do know that if you eat that compared to drinking a gallon of milk, that's easier on the stomach. Now, we're gonna take some.
Okay, so right away, as you can see, he has a bunch of colorful boxes on his tabletop there, and they're cereal boxes. And it's not even like the healthier versions of the cereal, if there is such a thing, but it's Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch, Trix, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which, yeah, are all super sugary, processed carbohydrates. Basically, it's junk food. So right off the bat, you know, I don't know. Let's kind of get into it, but you could see where this video is going. And this is why I think he should not be honest with what he eats, but maybe realize that a lot of people are going to follow him in this path, and it's going to lead to a lot of like unhealthy people. Yeah, maybe there's like a certain percentage of people that are similar to him, you know, that dedicate a lot of time in the gym and that are taking testosterone to help increase muscle mass, and obviously the production of synthetic testosterone in the body. So maybe he is able to get gains as he talks about, but he's also doing it in a cheating manner. And I respect the shit out of this dude when it comes to like business, but the fact that he's promoting this type of food right off the bat as a breakfast, which is, you know, the most important meal of the day. I think every meal is important. Doesn't matter if it's your first, your second, or your last. Every time you're putting something in your body, you're either feeding disease or you're fighting disease. And I think in this case, we could see that this is definitely the latter. Or actually, it's the first one, feeding it. Let's go on.
Something that's all natural, and we're gonna ruin it with lots of artificial flavors so that it's actually delicious. And you can use a bowl. What I usually do is I just put it in here because I don't like dishes. And I will take fruit punch. I like berry personally. There's different ones. There's like a berry sangria that's pretty good. And the nice thing with this is that these are always available everywhere. So if you...
It's really interesting that you could have so much money and still buy this kind of crap. I don't understand it. I mean, if I had as much money as Alex Hormuz does, and let me tell you, this guy, his portfolio of companies that he owns, he probably owns several hundreds at this point. This is literally just a guess by following him. But his company, acquisition.com, he makes over 100 million a year. And he sold one of his businesses for, I believe, $46 million, which was the gym business, before he opened acquisition.com. So he is definitely very wealthy. You know, the guy that takes, you know, he takes private jets. He's whatever, all that. He's wealthy, okay? He's financially free. And I'm not hating on him because of that. I'm just trying to show you that just because somebody has more money than you doesn't mean that they're more intelligent in certain things. Like, don't put yourself down, or rather, don't look up to people. Like, learn from them, but realize that they're also human and they also make mistakes. I think this is a huge mistake that Alex Hormuz is making. As much as I respect him in business and mental game, I think that him promoting so far breakfast cereal and a non-organic, conventional, you know, owned by a big corporation yogurt, I think it's kind of sad. I mean, you could at least get yogurt from like a small farmer near you. There's farmers everywhere. You know, if you have that much money and that much influence, take the time and, you know, at least be promoting maybe like a raw yogurt or something, or, you know, a yogurt that's like a smaller brand. You know, the fact that he's promoting Kellogg's and Faya, yes, this is what he does. I get that, but maybe he should change how he's eating. Even though like this is working for him now, I don't even think he's like 31 yet. But anyway, let's continue with the video.
Travel and you usually have your mainstays at home. You're like, shoot, what do I do? Like almost every grocery store nowadays has Greek yogurt. And so I put about half of one of these guys in, and this is like for a pitcher. So I figure this is about half a pitcher of fluid. So I put half of one of these guys in, and then I mixy. Now, if you do need a bigger bowl, because it does make it easier to mix, just for
okay, so as you heard him, he's talking about milk products, how a lot of people can't tolerate them. And honestly, I swear to God, I think it's the fact that a lot of milk is pasteurized, and that's probably why people can't handle the milk, or why it makes them feel lactose intolerant. If you tried like a raw milk or a raw product or raw dairy, you might end up being able to digest it better, and it won't cause you as much problems as a whole milk that's been pasteurized or ultra pasteurized or anything like that. I say give it a try. If it doesn't hurt you, maybe it can actually benefit, maybe you can benefit from it, from the different vitamins that you can get from milk. But that's just my opinion. It's not something that, you know, maybe I've done enough research on. I have heard though that people that tried a raw product over doing, you know, ultra processed milk have reacted better to it. So
I'll show you guys. You put this guy in. That looks great. And then we just mix this guy. So this is my prep time. Can we start the timer? Here's my prep time. You also get a nice little forearm pump, so you get a little pre-workout workout, if you know what I'm talking about. What's cool about this is it actually smells like Yoplait or Dannon or any of your favorite, you know, yogurt yogurt brands that we know and loved when we grew up, and then later found out they were made by big pharma to kill us and all that stuff. Anyways, I like Fruity Pebbles. So this is my preferred cereal of choice. Let's take this guy out. And so here's the cool part, is that this can stretch a really long way. So a cup of this has 140 calories in it and 30 grams of carbs, pretty much nothing else. It's almost all carbs, all right? So let me show you guys a fancy trick. So leave the actual cereal scooper as 1 cup in there so that you always know what you're getting every time. And so for me, I pull out my cup, make sure it's even on the top. Don't give yourself a heaping scoop, all right? And then after that, I know I've got 140 calories of carbs. And so rather than mix them in because then they get soggy, what I'll do is I'll sprinkle some on top. Doesn't that look delicious? And then I'll peel off the first layer. They stay crunchy. And then I'll put the next layer on, and then I'll peel off the second layer. So I can actually have this nice fruity pebble crunch all the way through it. And you can see, I barely used a lot of my cup, and I just did 2 kind of coverings worth. And
yeah, Faye, I guess that's how you pronounce the yogurt. He just mentions, you know, it's a product from Greece, and it is originally from Greece. It was founded in Athens, Greece, but it's produced here in America in upstate New York. So who knows where they're getting their dairy from and what the heck makes it Greek, what makes it Greek? I think that's false promotion there, false advertisement. I mean, I'm Argentinian, and when I go to an Argentinian restaurant and they're using American beef, American style grills, because in Argentina they use something called a parrilla or parrilla, and it's basically cooking over local wood from Argentina, low and slow, using Argentinian cows, which are raised on a lot of grass-fed and maybe a little bit of grain here and there. I'm not even sure. But the difference is in the taste and the way it's cooked. So when I go to an Argentinian restaurant here and none of those applications have been inherited by that particular restaurant, there's nothing Argentinian about it except for the name and maybe a couple of servers. But I throw the baby out with the bathwater when I go to an Argentinian restaurant, and that's how they're cooking, and that's the type of product that they're using. Let's go on with the video.
you can use, like, a cup is plenty. You could do a half cup, like if you're dieting, because I've done this when I was dieting. If you use a half cup of this, it's 70 calories, it's 15 grams of carbs, and this thing's 500 calories of protein with basically nothing else in it, almost nothing else, right? And so that's my choice. It's like, this is a filling breakfast, all right? You put all this in here. That is a filling breakfast. It looks like a massive bowl of cereal, except this has almost 100 grams of protein in it. It doesn't take any time to prep, and if you eat it
There's nothing natural about those biceps. I don't think that you can achieve those biceps without taking some sort of workout enhancement drug like steroids. So it just pisses me off even more that he's wearing what he's wearing, because people are looking at that and thinking, hey, I could do that too if I eat a tub of yogurt with Captain Crunch or Fruity Pebbles. I'll just tell you this, maybe you can, but most likely you won't, and you'll end up having other problems. Like, it's in the dose. So you might not get poisoned right away, but eventually, yeah, you're gonna get sick if you start eating this way. Guarantee. Maybe not now, maybe in 5 years, depends on your constitution, I guess, depends on your immune system and your health, but eventually you are going to get sick from eating this way. So Alex is doing a disservice here by showing off his guns, which I'm not jealous of. I'm just saying that he didn't get those guns from a direct result of eating that way. Okay, it's eating that way plus enhancements, like drug enhancements, like synthetic testosterone, which is what he is using, and he's actually claimed that in his other video that he started doing it at a very young age.
Which is what I normally do. You don't even have any dishes. Let's see if it's as good as I remember it. Still delicious. By the way, if you do have a beard nemesis. So definitely check yourself in the mirror before you leave the house. Otherwise you'll have pink shit all over your face. That being said, let's go to the next one. By the way, I'm making these recipes because
I hate to keep pausing it like this, but every other word that comes out of this guy's mouth, if he's not talking about business, it's just complete bullshit. He just mentions here how, kind of sarcastically saying that, like, pharma is here, you know, they put all this stuff to kill us. Not necessarily. They put it in there to make us sick because they profit off of it. Eventually, yes, we end up dying, but we end up dying with huge medical bills and like 15 pills in our bathroom cabinet, and going to doctors over and over and taking new drugs, the newest thing, you know, and never addressing the real root cause of the problem, which is exactly what this guy is eating in this video. So I hate how he did that very sarcastically, because it's not a joke. It's not a conspiracy that a lot of the drugs on the market don't actually treat the root cause. They treat a symptom of it. And so the root cause just stays there. And then you end up adding some other ailment or disease to the body from taking what you're taking. So it is kind of a slap in the face that this guy has as many followers as he does. And he's being kind of facetious here and a little sarcastic. But I digress. Let's keep watching the video.
Last video I did, so many of you guys commented saying like, give us a part 2. And so this is part 2, and we'll have the recipes in the link in the description. Enjoy. So this was a lunch that I had for like a couple years, because I tend to stick with the same thing for a really long time until one day I decide I'm gonna have something different. But this is an awesome lunch. So this is Ezekiel bread, which is just fancy, organic, schmancy bread that has, I don't know, less preservatives, whatever. It's in the refrigerated section and it's like $1.50 more. Anyways, so I had this stuff because I figured if I'm gonna have it every day, I try to eat better stuff. So that being said, take 2 of these guys, and if you wanna know per slice, each slice of this thing is only 80 calories, which is not bad for a slice of bread, especially given how like weighty it is. So some slices of bread are like kind of foamy. You could like mash it in your hand and put it into a little itty bitty ball. This has more weight to it. So it's 80 calories, it's got 5 grams of protein in it, 15 grams of carbs, and almost no fat. Now, if you like toast, which
let's read the ingredients and Fruity Pebbles that he's using. Rice, sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oil, which comes from coconut and palm kernel oil, salt, red 40, yellow 6, blue 1, yellow 5, blue 2, and BHA to help protect the flavor. I'm glad you're protecting the flavor and not the consumer.
There's speed toasters that can toast it in like half the time or a third of the time, and every minute is precious to me, so I have a speed toaster that I toast these guys in. But just to keep this video rolling, imagine these are toasted. All right, so once it's toasted, what I do, and I've experimented with different ways to eat this because I ate it every single day for like 2 years, is I have fat-free cream cheese. All right, so this is 0 fat cream cheese, which you're like, how does that even work? Honestly, no idea. It's probably some sort of frankenfood. It just kind of has the texture of cream cheese. I think they use milk to make it. Who honestly knows? I don't really care that much, but it tastes pretty good. The way to do this guy is sometimes they'll have like little measurement things on here. If you have a scale because you want to be precise, awesome. I have done it enough times to know kind of like what a tablespoon looks like.
Okay. So it'll fill you up now, and then you'll start crashing from it. Yeah, absolutely. It's a filling breakfast, as he mentions. But filled with what? Shit? I'd rather starve than fill myself up with this stuff.
And so that's about what that looks like. And by the way, these are low fat lox. Again, I'm a low fat guy, which means it's if you have fish that doesn't have carbs in it and used to have fat, what's left? Protein. So this is pretty much close to the same macros as a chicken breast. Kind of cool. It is a little bit drier, just to be fair. But for me, I didn't really care that much. The taste was good enough for me, and that worked. Different ways you can eat it. Version 1 is you put the cream cheese on and then you layer that on top. I don't like that because the bread starts to get soggy. The next way you can do it is that you can put the salmon on here and then bite by bite, put the cream cheese on. That way does work because it does.
I feel bad for those people that are asking for a part 2 of this video. I mean, they got their heads so far up their asses, and I'm not trying to degrade anybody or insult anyone, but the person that's eating this type of shit, I don't want to hang out with, you know? I probably wouldn't call them a friend or have anything in common with them except for the fact that we're both Homo sapiens. So it's kind of interesting that this guy is so successful and he has such a big platform of fools.
Like the salmon doesn't really make the bread wet, but the problem is that the salmon's really hard to bite into because then you pull the whole thing off of the bread. And so after eating this a lot of times, I have settled on the third way of doing it, which is that I actually mash this guy up into like salmon tartare. All right, so I just cut the shit out of this thing. And I'm not even trying to like grind it up. I just want to make it in big enough slices that if it comes, like I'm not going to tear the whole thing.
I don't know why he feels the need, if he's talking about something healthy like Ezekiel bread, which is definitely healthier than Wonder Bread, how he's like, I don't know, it's just got less preservatives and blah, blah, blah. Like, you just got off eating a cereal that has every food coloring that was created in a lab, and now you're like, oh yeah, there's just something, like, there's just less crap in this, like, it's whatever, you know, like, so nonchalant about it, and definitely shows like his level of nutritional intelligence. There's certain like levels of intelligence, and this guy is displaying that of a 5-year-old kid.
Off the bread when I eat it, so that I still have salmon that's on there when I'm eating it. All right, tricks of the trade. Now, once I have this, now what I'll do is I'll take my cream cheese, I'll throw this guy on, I'll throw some of this on, and then I just take my bite. And I just do that over and over and over again. And that has been how I ate it for years and years and years. So the bread stays crunchy. I don't have to accidentally eat half my salmon in one bite and then just eat plain ass bread the rest of the time. And the cream cheese stays cold, because if the cream cheese is cold and then the bread is hot, they just end up being lukewarm and sucking. And so this stays crunchy and hot, this stays cold and creamy, and then I have a biteable amount of salmon that doesn't tear off at once. And that is how I eat this thing. Now let's talk about macros real quick. So remember, this thing's all protein. This is more or less all protein. And this is low calorie. So if you didn't want to eat Ezekiel, I would just say go with low calorie bread.
Okay, no fat cream cheese? How is that even possible? As he says, he has no idea. It's probably some Frankenfood. You know that the food that you're posting is Frankenfood, or in other words, dangerous. I mean, this isn't like hate speech, right? Where people like, that's dangerous. Possibly. I don't think so. But this right here, this is dangerous because someone is going to put that into their bodies. And why does he care so much about fat-free? I mean, maybe he believes that, again, little fat is good for gains. Like, you're not a bodybuilding channel, you're a business channel and a mindset channel. So what type of, and in the like business mindset, right? So you shouldn't be talking about what you're talking about.
I just try to minimize my carb intake unless I'm trying to eat them on purpose. And so I pretty much just eat protein throughout the day. And then when I am going to eat carbs, never skip dessert, I go and eat carbs for real. And I eat as many carbs as I feel like. So like I said in the beginning, I try to eat around 100 grams of protein per meal. And so I would actually do 3 of these guys, and I eat them as open face sandwiches. So I have fewer carbs overall. And so I'd put about 4 ounces of this protein lox on here. I'd have my bread, and I'd have 2, 3, maybe 5 grams of protein that would come from the cream cheese. And so between the 20-ish that comes from this, the 3 to 4 that comes from this, and the 5 that comes from this, I get about 30-ish grams of protein per open face sandwich. There's my 90. If you guys are paying attention at home, this is actually not enough salmon for what would be on one sandwich. So the salmon gets stacked up, because remember, this is protein, right? So I'm gonna show you this because this is aesthetically what it would look like at a fancy restaurant. But in the Brotastic kitchen, this is how much salmon would actually be on your sandwich. All right, so I actually tried to eat as much as I could on these open face puppies so that I could then get swole. All right, so there we go. Now I put it like this, and I could take these massive man bites. And so I'd have 3 of these guys, but I didn't wanna throw away pounds of salmon for no reason, because those salmon give their lives for us. Like that, boom, delicious. So I have 3 of those guys, 90 grams of protein, all in calories, 240 calories come from the bread.
I think if Alex Hormozi wasn't on testosterone replacement, I don't think he would look as good as he does, because he says F you to fat, and he eats processed carbs, artificial flavors, and hydrogenated oils. So right there, it's like, that's not what you really would look like if it wasn't for all the steroids that you're taking. He claims that he takes whatever, TRT. Who knows? TRT, I'm sorry, but it's just another way of saying steroids. Guys, I know that I've taken TRT, and in my mind, I knew that I was doing steroids. Okay? Even if I wasn't doing D-Bol, Anavar, and all sorts of other steroids, I knew that I was injecting myself. If when I did steroids when I was younger because I was impatient, I was stupid, and I didn't have anybody tell me not to do it. So I was kind of rebellious like that. And I regret it, honestly regret it, because it's done me a lot of harm in my 20s. And I've kind of now I'm recovering from it. I'm 40, so I've just like, lately I'm off everything and I'm just doing the carnivore diet. Going on day 60, which is coming up on April 15th. Today is April 4th, if we survive the eclipse. Just kidding. But yeah, this guy wouldn't look like the way he does if he was to eat like this and not take steroids.
Probably 100 or two from the cream cheese, and the rest is just protein coming from the salmon. And if you have a beard, once again, so you don't look like you have a facial, wipe your face. Delicious. So we just crushed lunch. Now let's talk about snacks on the go. So, two of my favorite snacks that you get on the go that you can eat pretty much anywhere in the continental United States are, you got jerky and you got light, key point, string cheese, all right? So let's dive in. So what you might not know, and again, this isn't for all the healthy people. If you're gonna be a healthy person, then just go watch another video. But if you just want protein, then this is for you, all right? Now, original jerky, and I found this out later, has a lot of protein in it, all right? So this little guy has 6 servings of 10 grams of protein. There's 60 grams of protein in this. There's less than 500 calories. Not bad, all right? So it's 480 calories, 60 grams of protein, and so not a bad snack that you're on the go. So if you don't have time to eat or something like that, but you are a bigger guy and you need more calories, and if you're a smaller guy and need fewer calories, just cut it in half, all right? Now, the other thing is string cheese. Now, I use scoops of whey protein or pure protein sources is a good litmus test for, is this a pure or less pure protein source? All right, so like if you have like the purest version of this is that you have a 120 calorie scoop of protein, it has 24 grams-ish of protein. That's about as lean as you're gonna get in any kind of normal food. Now, if you have 4 of these guys, it's 200 calories and 24 grams of protein. All right, so really, really close. And the added amount that comes from this is fat. So there's 2.5 grams of fat. There's almost no carbs in this, in the string cheese. And so if I have 4 string cheeses and this guy, I've got 84 grams of protein. And you're like, man, 4 string cheeses and all that? It's like, yeah, it's kind of like a meal, which is kind of the point. And so you can have this on the go, and all in all, you'd be up 680 calories with 84 grams of protein. And the stuff keeps great. So if you just want to like have a snack on the go and you don't eat 100 grams in one sitting, you can just open it up, take a bite. Fucking tough. Not all of them are good, but that one's okay. I'll bet you the string cheese goes down a little easier because that's super dry. And you compare this with a lovely Sauvignon water. And this guy though, you were like, how do you eat 6 string cheeses? You gotta like bite 1, bite 2, and eat it. You eat 6 of them. Honestly, 6 string cheeses, it's just because they serve these to like 4-year-olds. So like, the string cheese is just not that much cheese. It's like 2 bites. So it's really just having 12 bites of cheese. It's not nearly as much as you think about it. They just package it like this so they can charge you more. But it's not that much. It's this. It's not a lot of cheese, all right? There you go. It's like 3 bites. I'm remembering now why I eat this. Jerky and the cheese actually taste delicious together. It's meat and cheese. It's actually really good. So this is for those of you who are just rich and feel like spending more money but still don't want to have anything but protein. Bring on the next one.
This guy is absolutely ridiculous when it comes to his food. Jack Link's and Polly-O string cheese from Walmart. It's so strange. You have unlimited amount of money and this is a shit you're eating. Go to Whole Foods. Go to Fresh Market. Go to your local farmer's market. Send somebody there. Send your assistant. Like he's like purposely eating the shittiest food because he's combining it with probably the best testosterone on the market. And so it really doesn't matter to him. But karma's a bitch and it's gonna catch up to him eventually. I mean, he's still like 31. So I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's almost inevitable at this point. It has to be. Soy protein. I mean, there's soy sauce in Jack Link's, if I'm not mistaken, and hydrogenated oils and other seed oils and sugar. And then that Polly-O string cheese, definitely more ingredients than just, you know, milk and good bacteria. It's almost like he's doing it on purpose now. Like, maybe let's find the shittiest, cheapest ingredients and pretend that this is what I eat. I don't really think he eats like this. I think he's just trying to tell you to eat like this. I'm not saying that he's being paid by pharmaceutical companies, but it almost seems like you're just trying to make people sick. You want to make people rich, but at the same time, you want to make people sick by eating low quality packaged foods. Go, bro, at least go with like higher quality. Come on, ref.
I used to eat this when I was cutting. So this is my cutting diet. So this is shrimp that's been peeled and cooked already. So you can get this from the freezer section, or if you're really fancy, you can get it from the fresh section. I prefer the freezer section because it's cheaper. So for all you fancy mother...
Yeah, I'm glad he actually said that, because this isn't for healthy people. He's right. I guess that's a disclaimer he should have said at the beginning of the video and just had it in like bold print throughout the whole entire video. This is definitely not for healthy people. This is for somebody that like sits in front of their TV and plays video games and then goes to the gym. You know, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but he's 100% right. Like, a healthy person would at least get like good quality beef jerky or just make it themselves. It's so freaking easy. If you have an oven or a dehydrator, you can make beef jerky. I'll do a video on that.
Fuckers. Boom. Shrimp, which all you have to do is defrost it. This came all whatever. All right, so you just let it thaw. All right, the way that I did is I just do it under the sink because it thaws it faster, and then it just comes cold-ish. And then you take this puppy. This is top cocktail sauce, which...
Also, it makes me wonder what he means by other, like, if you're healthy, don't watch this. Because, listen, beef jerky and cheese, healthy. I think what he's trying to say is, like, if you're on the I eat salad and vegetables and, you know, sesame seeds, hemp seeds, and flax seeds and almonds, I guess he thinks this is healthy, and like eating protein is not healthy, even though you're building muscle with protein and you look healthy. So the things that you make you look healthy and help you become more healthy are not healthy somehow. Please make that make sense. So that disclaimer was probably not because of the quality of the product. It was probably saying, like, if you want a healthy channel, go watch, you know, vegan Bobby or whatever, because he's eating, you know, smoothies with dates in it. I think Alex contributes a lot into the world, but this here is how he lacks empathy for small businesses and farmers. He's promoting here huge brands that are owned by big corporations. He has an opportunity to just pick out any type of beef jerky from any fantastic small family business owned establishment and promote their product. And with 2.2 million followers, he can really make a difference. Sort of like Barstool Sports, how he goes to small pizza restaurants and pizza chains and tries to help them grow in most cases. I mean, if you have a good pizza product, you're good. If you're slanging, you know, shitty pizza, I'm sorry. You kind of get what you deserve, you know. Eventually you're not going to survive. There's just too much competition. But yeah, you have an opportunity and you have that much money and that much influence. Like, look out for the smaller guy. Don't be such a dick. Why are you promoting this stuff? Do you really even eat this way? It's almost like he's looking at the packages like it's like the first time he's ever eaten it, you know? Like, he has to read what's on the back of it. Like, oh, this has 60 grams of protein. Like, oh, you should have known that if this is what you've been eating for years, because that's what you just told us. So, maybe not true. If you have an opportunity like that, help the little man out. That's just an opinion.
And 12 ounces of other shit. Doesn't really matter. It's all just protein. But the cool thing about shrimp specifically is that shrimp has 0 carbs and 0 fat. the thing is pure protein. And so unless you add fat to it or you add carbs to it, there ain't gonna be any. All right, and so the only thing in this meal that has anything besides protein is just the cocktail sauce. And this thing, like, a little bit goes a long way. And I barely even count this stuff when I was eating it. So now that we finished our fancy shrimp dinner, now let's talk about beef and cauliflower. All right, so this one is one that is a classic. Also one that I ate a lot when I was dieting because I needed to really get my my protein up and my calories down. But all I do is I have the leanest ground beef that I can find. So this is 93.7. Usually you can find 96.4. If you find a good place that does it, just get that. You can also do it with ground turkey. It doesn't matter. If you were really poor, I used to just buy chicken breasts and then put them through a food processor, which I had for my dog at the time. And so I would just feed him in and just grinds it up for you. And I would just have all this.
Yes, Alex, they do serve that to 4-year-olds, and you're not 4. So why are you eating this way?
Ground chicken breast, and that worked pretty good for me. So one is you've got your beef or your meat that's gonna be lean. 2 is you've got these microwavable packets of riced cauliflower, all right? Now, this stuff is heavy, like it's very filling. And the nice thing with this is that if you've ever had an Uncle Ben's or a quick or minute rice or whatever, it works the exact same way. All right, so you just crack the top, put it in the microwave, and heat it up. Now, one thing I will say is that the beef, you usually prep at one point during the week. So you're gonna have a few pounds of ground beef already hopefully somewhere in your home. And then all you do is you just gotta add something to it so that it makes it into a meal. And that's why this is a no prep deal. Now, up to this point, you're like, okay, so you're just talking beef and cauliflower, like why is this a meal? Good point, because that on its own would be disgusting. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I make a sauce that is both delicious and not nutritious in terms of it's not chock packed with macronutrients, but is actually just chock full of deliciousness and not a lot of calories. All right, so let's put these puppies together and I'll show you the secret sauce and we'll enjoy it together. So first things first, we're gonna start with the meat. Look at that, cooked it already. Man, we're speedy. Who said this was zero prep?
So that cocktail sauce that he's holding up is by a brand called Primal Kitchen, which was recently bought by Kraft. And I'm sure we can all assume that once these big conglomerates buy small brands, they try to cut corners because those brands were created out of quality ingredients and maybe even some old recipes that were passed down by generation. And then you give it to Kraft or Hershey's or any one of those guys, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and all of a sudden, you know, you got palm oil in there. They added high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar and a bunch of other nonsense. So if you're eating sauces on the carnivore diet, the only 2 sauces that I do is I do hot sauce, which I don't do it very often because I don't think it's really that good for you. It's only when I have like a craving for something different. And because I'm a very new carnivore, I'm gonna have cravings in the beginning, probably for like the first half a year or however long it takes, but until I don't want it anymore. And I do Dijon mustard. Also just mustard seeds, and I think like white vinegar maybe is in there. But that's it. It's like good Dijon mustard. I'm not using Frank's mustard or anything like that where it has other crap in it. I mean, if you're into that, fine, you know what I mean? But I would say like try to get that out of your repertoire as soon as possible and just stick to just like meats, you know, and experience like the ultimate elimination, which is what I'm working towards. I'm actually working towards like a Lion's diet, but I'm in transition. I'm not, you know, I'm taking it easy on myself.
Anyways, so next thing is we got to take our cauliflower and we're going to nuke this thing. Great, so now we've got these 2 puppies. So how are we going to make this delicious? Because right now this looks like dog food, and I agree with you. So we're going to enter secret ingredient number 3, the sauce. So let's talk calories about mayonnaise. All right, so first thing is that we actually accidentally bought the wrong one. This should be light mayo. Most light mayos are about 35 calories per tablespoon. This is this puppy. Now, if you wanna not keep measuring shit spoon by spoon by spoon, which you can have lots of error, you can just put the thing on a food scale and just see how many grams it is. It's a much easier way to do that. But for the visual demonstration purpose of this video, let's rock with it. So if I've got 100 and call it 30 calories that I wanna eat, all right, in terms of fat, I've got one of these guys. And the reason that the weighing it is kind of useful is because you always have some kind of like leftover on the spoon, and so you're kind of counting the same thing twice. And so I like just weighing it but it is what it is. All right, here we go. Now, if you also want a little hack, use the spoon that you did the scooping with to do the mixing, because that way you get to use some of the stuff that's on there that you had to get credit for in your calories. All right, so that's 130-ish calories, because each one was 35 times 4, whatever, 140. There you go, 140 calories. All right, fantastic. Next one is Hormuz's secret special sauce.
Still, again, I don't know why he eats so lean. Fact is that fat doesn't make you fat. Then again, it's the supplements, the illegal or legal in this case, supplements that he's taking.
Which is just sriracha. All right, so then this guy, I just don't count calories in hot sauce because there's not enough to really give a shit. And so I put a little bit in depending on your desired hotness levels. Now I like a little spice to my stuff. All right, then we go a little mixy. Ooh, you can even smell it. Ooh, that smells like heartburn. Yes, it does. You're gonna feel that tomorrow. Yes, you will. Okay, fantastic. Now, I take sweetness and add this in. So this is stevia. If you wanna use Splenda, that works too. All right, now, again, this is like spicy and sweet are to flavor. All right, I like to add a couple in. You'll get a feel for it. Add one in, see if you like it.
Okay, I think at this point we've seen enough. I mean, he's about to use Hershey syrup and egg whites to make a, I guess some sort of a milkshake-like drink without any fat and without any health benefits, to be, to be quite frank. But I guess the point of making this video is because I respect this man a lot. And I'm sure you have somebody in your life that you respect and look up to. But at the end of the day, don't confuse what they are experts in as across the board. In other words, just because they're intelligent in one aspect of their life doesn't mean that they know more than you in other things. And I think you should just give yourself credit and a little bit of, give yourself some leeway, and don't be so hard on yourself if you're not perfect in everything. Because as you can see, a man that has started many businesses, helps out a lot of people in business, doesn't know shit about nutrition. Let's just be quite honest. He can read the back of a package, he looks at protein, and it's done. Doesn't look at all the poison that's in there. Chemicals, the poison, and he's also taking enhancement drugs to help him look the way he does. It has very little to do with the food and more about the synthetic pharmaceuticals that he's putting in his body. That's my honest opinion. All right, guys, that's this video. Subscribe for more videos like this. And me talking about my carnivore journey. I'm going to be posting a lot more recipe videos as soon as I upgrade my kitchen, which is coming very soon. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.